Vivruta, grew. Eka, one without a second. Uru, many. Praroha, branches. Tasmai, unto him. Namaha, obeisances. Bhagavate, unto the personality of Godhead. Bhuvanadhrumaya, unto the tree of the planetary system. So once again, we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 9, verse number 16. And, I'll read the shlok once more. Yova aham cha girishascha vibhu swayam cha sthiti udbhava pralaya hetava atma moolam bhitva tripad vibhuta eka uru prarohas tasmai namo bhagavate bhuvanadhrumaya. So we just finished with the synonyms. Let me read the translation now. Your lordship is the prime root of the tree of the planetary systems. The tree has grown by first penetrating the material nature in three trunks, as me, Shiva, and you, the Almighty, for creation, maintenance, and dissolution. And we three have grown with many branches. Therefore, I offer my obeisances unto you, the tree of the cosmic manifestation. So the purport is a very interesting purport by Srila Prabhupada. The cosmic manifestation is grossly divided into three worlds: the upper, lower, and middle planetary systems. And then it broadens into the cosmos of 14 planetary systems with the manifestation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the supreme root. Material nature, which appears to be the cause of the cosmic manifestation, is only the agency or energy of the Lord. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 9.10. Maya dhyakshena prakriti suyatech sa characharam. Only under the superintendence of the Supreme Lord does the material nature appear to be the cause of all creation, maintenance, and dissolution. The Lord expands himself into three: Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva, for maintenance, creation, and destruction, respectively. Of the three principal agents controlling the three modes of material nature, Vishnu is the Almighty, even though he is within the material nature for the purpose of maintenance. He is not controlled by the laws of material nature. The other two, Brahma and Shiva, though almost as greatly powerful as Vishnu, are within the control of the material energy of the Supreme Lord. The conception of many gods controlling the many departments of material nature is ill-conceived of by the foolish pantheists. God is one without a second, and he is the primal cause of all causes. As there are many departmental heads of governmental affairs, so there are many heads of management of the universal affairs. Due to a poor fund of knowledge, the impersonalist does not believe in the personal management of things as they are. But in this verse, it is clearly explained that everything is personal and nothing is impersonal. We have already discussed this point in the introduction, and it is confirmed here in this verse. The tree of material manifestation is described in the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita as an Ashwatha tree whose root is upward. We have actual experience of such a tree when we see the shadow of a tree on the bank of a reservoir of water. The reflection of the tree on the water appears to hang down from its upward roots. The tree of creation described here is only a shadow of the reality, which is the Parabrahman, Vishnu. In the internal potency manifested in the Vaikuntha Lokas, the actual tree exists, and the tree reflected in the material nature is only the shadow of this actual tree. The impersonalist theory that Brahman is void of all variegatedness is false, because the shadow tree described in Bhagavad Gita cannot exist without being the reflection of a real tree. The real tree is situated in the eternal existence of spiritual nature, full of transcendental varieties, and Lord Vishnu is the root of that tree also. The root is the same, the Lord, both for the real tree and the false, but the false tree is only the perverted reflection of the real tree. The Lord, being the real tree, is here offered obeisances by Brahma on his own behalf and also on behalf of Lord Shiva. Okay, so we can get started. Om Ajnanatimrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitapa Anam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we can get started. So this is actually continuation of the chapter. This particular verse is a continuation from the chapter 9, and which is Brahma's prayers for creative impetus. And we see that how Brahma is actually praying right from the beginning of this chapter. And from verses 1 to 25 is actually Brahma's prayers. And 25 onwards is, of course, 29 actually. 29 onwards is the Lord's reply to Brahma. So this is part of Brahmaji's prayers, and I'm just giving some background from 1 to 5. From verses 1 to 5, we found that Brahmaji is mostly describing the Lord's supreme forms. How it's a personal form, auspicious form, and so on. From 6 to 10, mostly the predicament of conditioned souls, like how we are caught up in bodily entanglement, and how we are constantly in anxiety, due to our material identification. Then from 11 to 13 is describing how the Lord reciprocates with his devotees. And the 14 to 21, it describes, actually Brahmaji is just Lord Brahma is offering his obeisances onto the Supreme Lord. And this is part of that. And the verse that is before this, that is verse 15, was describing the merciful holy names of the Lord. And that how even unconsciously at the time of death, if we chant the holy names of the Lord, then we are freed from all sins and we can attain him. So this particular verse falls in the section in which Lord Brahma is offering obeisances onto the Supreme Personality of the Lord. And in particular, for this verse, what is described is the cosmic tree, the cosmic tree, and then how the Lord, that is Lord Vishnu, is the root of this cosmic tree, that is Bhuvana Dhrumaya, and how it has 3 trunks, that is Brahma is one trunk, then Shiva is another trunk, and Vishnu, and how this expands into so many different complex branches, and is such a vast and is such a vast tree actually. So if we look at the translation, it says that your lordship is the prime root of the planetary system, referring to Vishnu. He is the prime root. And the tree has grown by penetrating material nature in 3 trunks, it has penetrated material nature as Shiva, Vishnu, and Brahma. And then there have been for creation, maintenance, and dissolution. And then there are many branches. And therefore, Lord Brahma offers his obeisances unto this particular tree. And then Srila Prabhupada has actually written a very nice purport, very detailed purport also. But, we probably have time to emphasize just a few points. And he says, that this whole world is divided into three planetary systems. There is a upper planetary system, lower, and the lower and then middle. And actually, we are actually in the middle planetary system. And it is according to, and Bhagavad Gita actually describes that this particular planetary system, it is according to the three modes of material nature. That is, those who are in the mode of goodness, like 14.18 of Bhagavad Gita tells us that, those who are in the mode of goodness, they go to higher planetary systems. And those who are in the mode of passion, they go to earthly planets. And those who are in the mode of ignorance, they go like below the earth. That is, they go to this hellish world. So that is how the three planetary systems have been created by the Lord. And it is said in the purport that this broadens into the cosmos of 14 planetary systems. So like this is the broad, like 3 divisions, but then it goes on to like 14 systems. Like, for example, you have what is called the Svargaloka, which is Satyaloka, Tapaloka, and, Janaloka, Marloka, all those. And then we have the earthly planes, which we are in Bhurloka. And then we have the lower planes, which is Atala, Pavitala, Sutala, Talatala, and all those. And there, even in the lower planes, even sunlight doesn't come, it's actually, it's interesting, but they are inhabited, they are the jewel of snakes, they are the ones lighting up, and very interesting things. Actually, if you read this whole, and all this in detail. But what happens is that it is said in this purport that material nature is only the agency. That is, through the Lord comes this material nature. And only under the Lord's superintendence, all this happens. It's not like magically happening that all these planets are getting created. And the Lord actually himself, he expands into 3, that is Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva. And it's very interesting because even like I was thinking, reading like Brahma Samhita, and this verse is quite famous in Brahma Samhita 5:45. Like it's about Shiva, Lord Shiva, that just as milk is transformed into curd, like how you transform milk by action of acids, but neither the effect of the curd is the same as or different from milk. Lord Brahma is saying, I adore Lord Govinda, of whom the state of Shambhu is a transformation for the performance of the work of destruction. So all these are like transformations of the Supreme Lord, like Lord Shiva as well as Lord Brahma. And that is what is even Prabhupada also says, that the Lord expands himself into 3, So of course, we should be respecting all 3 of them because they come from the Supreme Lord. And then again, of course, it is said over here that of all the 3, Vishnu is the Supreme. That is what, Srila Prabhupada makes it very clear to us, because even though he is in the material nature, he's not controlled by material nature. So he's Gunatit, Trigunatit. That is, he's above the modes of material nature. But the other 2, they are still, under the control of material nature. Then Prabhupada also very nicely puts it that, that some people, they believe that, okay, that there are so many gods controlling many departments and they may be independent or whatever, but this is only by foolish pantheists, they believe this. That is the belief in many different gods. Actually, every even the demigods are actually working under the superintendence of only one God, the Supreme Almighty God. It's not that they are just, totally independent or something. It's not like that. There is only really one Supreme Lord. And so that we have to be very clear about. And he is the one who's actually running the whole show. And demigods, it said that, we have like demigods like 33 million or something, like some very large amount of demigods. But the thing is, that none of them are like independent, they are all under the superintendence of the Supreme Lord. So that is what Srila Prabhupada is explaining in the first paragraph of the purport of this verse, the supremacy of Lord Vishnu, and how everyone else is under him, and how this planetary system is divided into 3, and then describing to 14. And then, of course, what is mentioned here is about the impersonalist, how the impersonalist has a very wrong conception, because they do not believe in the personal form of the Lord. They just believe. And they say, there's a famous saying that what the impersonalist is thinking is like Jagat Mithya and Brahman Satya. Means Jagat means this whole world or this universe. It's all false, and only Brahman is the true truth. But we as Vaishnavas, we do not really believe this, because how can the Jagat be mithya when the Lord created it? When it is created by the Lord, it cannot be false. It has to be true. So we believe that it is. Yes, it's true that it may be temporary, but that's not true, that it's a false, because it is an energy of the Lord. And so we live, we propagate like devotional service and detachment and attachment to the Lord. That's what we say. And we think that this whole world is very much true. While you're there, you have to do your duty. You have to live life to the fullest. And you also, the very main thing is that you have to have devotion to Lord. But it's not that this world is false, so that's what Prabhupada is saying, that, also the impersonalist says that everything is impersonal, not believing in the personal form of the Lord at all. But that's not totally true. The Lord very much has a personal form. And then, of course, Prabhupada is actually going on to describe the banyan tree. Actually, this is even described in the Bhagavad Gita, and in chapter 15, specifically verses 1, 2, and 3. They'd explain this in great detail. And here also, actually, in this purport, Srila Prabhupada is referring to it, and he says that he calls it the banyan tree. It's the tree of creation. And, if you look at this particular picture, it's a very beautiful picture, sunlight, and there's water over here, and there's this actual tree, and then there is a reflection of the actual tree, right? So which one is real, right? The actual tree on top is the real one, right? And the one who's is at the bottom is a reflection. But the reflection, it's not that the reflection is false, but the reflection, you can consider it as temporary, because, there's water. The water will keep moving. Reflection will keep changing a little bit, right? But the thing is, we start thinking that when we are in the material world, we start thinking that, okay, this is what is the actual thing. It seems so that this is all that it is. But really what we are is only in the reflection. But the real and the eternal tree is in the spiritual kingdom. And our aim should be to get out of this perverted reflection, this inverted reflection, and then go on to the actual place, where the real tree exists, and where there is eternal bliss, and where we can get access to only if we are in constant consciousness of God. So that's what our aim is. And of course, if you want to read this, then go to Bhagavad Gita 1, 2, and 3, 15, 1, 2, and 3, read that, and in great detail. Because of shortage of time, I probably won't be able to describe everything from Bhagavad Gita, but mainly if verse says that there's an imperishable banyan tree, it has its roots are upwards, and the branches are down. That is how we are in the material world. The root is upward and branches are down, because we are in the reflection, right? And leaves are the Vedic hymns, right? And then 2 says that this is all nourished by the 3 modes of material nature. And the tree has its roots going down, and these are bound to the fruit of actions of human society. And how to get out of this tree. The main thing is, how do you get out of this tree and go to the real tree? So the real tree, he says that nobody understands where it even begins, and where it ends. But the only thing is that with the acts of determination, this inverted tree, we have to cut down with the weapon of detachment. And then we go to the place from where one never returns. And how can this happen? Two things. One is detachment. Do your duty, but with detachment. Nobody's saying don't do your duty. I think sometimes people misunderstand that detachment means like totally going, do your duty, but with detachment. And the thing is, then totally surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And of course, we have got such a beautiful system in Krishna consciousness, which all our acharyas have given us. And therefore, I will read the last thing is how to do this. Therefore, to get out of the entanglement of the strong banyan tree of material life, one must surrender to Krishna. As soon as one surrenders to Krishna, one becomes detached automatically from this material extension. So when you truly surrender to Krishna, automatically, that you don't even have to try, it just automatically happens. So that is what today's verse was mainly dealing about, what 3.9.16 verse today is dealing about. And this is, as just to summarize, this is part of Lord Brahma's prayers to Lord Vishnu, where he's offering obeisances. And this is a section, a section of verses which is offering obeisances to Lord Vishnu. And here, of course, the cosmic tree is described. And Lord Brahma is saying, okay, that I offer obeisances to you. You are the root, you are the origin of this tree. And that how, there are three trunks, that is me, Brahma, Shiva, and you. And Prabhupada says in the end that Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma offering obeisances to Lord Vishnu through this. So I think we're running out of time. So anybody has any comments or questions or anything? Okay, who's there? Anybody who's
Thank you
on the
so much,
call?
Mataji. Yeah.
Oh,
Thank you
okay.
so much, Mataji, for connecting various points, even from Bhagavad Gita, and then how actually one point touched me in the purport. Prabhupada is talking about how this verse is talking about personalism, not impersonalism, right? So because the three personalities here clearly called out. So I was thinking actually. A lot of times, actually yesterday when the Bhakti Vaibhava class was going on, so it says, anyway, I don't want to go there. So I think that was, but yeah, it's primarily talking about personalism. The Brahma, Vishnu, or Shiva, who are maintaining and creating and destroying this universe. So Prabhupada is taking that, the verse and then how it talks about the personalism. So that's what I was just
Yes, Prabhu, that's a very good point, actually. Yeah, that's a direct, yes. He's talking about Shiva, Brahma, and Vishnu, right? As
thinking.
persons, yes. Very
Yeah, how
nice.
do we think about this inverted banyan
Yes.
tree as a real? So that is another thing. Is always mesmerizing for us. Because it's very difficult, though we hear so many times, but think that is the real thing. So
Yeah, we get lost. Sometimes we get lost,
yeah, that
right?
is true.
We always have to remind ourselves. Yes, yes, Prabhu. That's why these Bhagavatam classes are important because they help us to remind that. Yeah. Anyone else? Okay, if not, then we'll just stop here. Thank you very much for attending. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam.